What's up, everyone? We're back. Welcome to Doctorly Unhinged. I'm Dr. Shah.
I'm Dr. Maxfield.
And today we have potentially the world's greatest episode. So first, we're going to jump into our life update. I actually think we took a 1-week hiatus by accident here, so we apologize if anyone missed an episode here. And then we're going to be talking about our product of the day. We're going to play a really fun game we've never done before, and it's called the Skinflation Game. It's actually not fun because it hurts all of our wallets, but we're going to be talking about what products cost today versus what they cost a few years ago and comparing those price tags and just showing you how much more you're paying for your skincare products nowadays. We're going to talk about how to take care of your skin after you're exposed to the sun. Is there anything you should be doing to repair the damage? Then we're going to be talking about, is sunscreen harmful? Once again, this terrifying study coming out of Europe. And then finally, we're going to be talking about store beauty brands. Those are the brands that you see: Walgreens brands, Walmart brand, CVS brand. Are they good? Are they great? Are they better? We're going to be jumping in this episode. Let's get started with the life update.
Nice. So we were, in fact, yes, together last week, which is why we didn't get the podcast done. We were out in Tennessee. I'm making a lot of trips in between here and there these days. But it's an exciting journey. Honestly, I couldn't be more thankful for, I think I said this last time, actually, but the people around me. Like, I can't, from top to bottom, like, none of this would be happening smoothly without the people. So seriously, super thankful for everyone who's close to me. Big journey, big exciting adventures coming up. We still have another adventure coming up that we're hoping to push forward soon. Super excited about that one, though. And that's it. I'm traveling often and not something I like to do, but I am doing it.
Yep. Yeah. Now you get to suffer the pain of traveling for work like I do, because it's not traveling for leisure. It's traveling for work. And that's never as fun as one might think. Or it gets old quickly. Let's just put it that way. So very proud of Dr. Maxfield. I was out at the office in Tennessee last week, and it's just, first of all, the building is beautiful, incredible. The people in the town are super nice, and just everybody from our Uber driver to the people working at the restaurants and everybody just amazing in the town so far. And just seeing the office and the exam rooms and the plants that they put in the exam room and all the small details that brought Aspire Dermatology to Tennessee. I mean, I'm just really proud of everything that Dr. Maxfield is building out there, and can't wait to see what he does with the practice next. So that was a very surreal moment for me as well. Yeah.
I do have one important update, actually. You may not have noticed, but if you're on YouTube, it's not a good representation, but I'm going to show you my skin. That pause was me looking at the camera. So my rosacea has
better.
It's way better. And the only reason it's at all bad today is because I did a freaking cleansing video, which means I washed my face like, I don't know, 5 times in a row in succession with a cleansing oil. So way better. And
what did you do?
My face has been flared for 6 months. Rosacea has been out of control. You've seen it. It's been wild. So really all I did, pores for the only topical I did for 3 solid months, pores, remedy for pores. And
love that.
When I got home from us talking about it at the office, I was just like, oh my gosh, my skin, like I'm a different person. I never thought it would get back to being this good. Like I just never thought, I didn't think that was there.
Now, you're crediting remedy for pore size for this? What else?
In large part, there's only one other active during this time. Now, this is an important active. Okay, yes, and no.
What else?
It also doxy. So I actually committed to a dose of oral doxycycline for 2 weeks, which, that might have been the little thing that pushed it over the hump.
But I would like to take credit for remedy for pore size, but I will say that the doxycycline probably made a huge difference, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, so there's also that. But collectively, wow. Like, I'm shocked. I actually never thought my skin would I thought this was it. I thought that, okay, this is the new norm for me. That's totally fine.
No, your skin looks great right now. You're glowing through the screen. And then what happened to me, I'll tell you. So I went to New York City again, my office in New York City. But in New York, I was on the Kelly and Mark show, live with Kelly and Mark. Kelly Ripa, the legend Kelly Ripa. So I got invited to come on this show. They reached out to me. The producer reached out to me and asked me, if I had any ideas for Summer Skin Week. and if there's anything I wanted to talk about. And I was, excited to talk about skin cancer because I don't think it's a topic we cover that much on social media or in media in general, but it's probably the most important topic is to discuss what skin cancer looks like and when to come into the office. So they said, that sounds good. They brought me up to New York. We shot the episode and it was live in the studio. And if anyone, no one really kind of knows this probably that's listening to us, but everybody who knows me personally knows this about me, is that I hate live stuff and I hate talking to an audience live. I get really nervous and I have really bad stage fright. I always have. And it sounds kind of insane because you're thinking, well, you make lots of videos and YouTube videos and TikTok videos and you go live on TikTok and you go live on YouTube. But being in front of people in a large group and talking always terrifies me. Dr. Maxfield and I did it on stage not too long ago, actually, to a pretty large group, even larger than the group we were with. But knowing that I was on live national TV and that if I messed anything up, I couldn't go back and edit it out personally, very terrifying for me. So I'll just kind of give you a rundown of what this looks like because I had no clue what it looked like to be on a live, syndicated TV show like this. So they picked me up at 7:00 in the morning. I was late, so they actually got me at 7:30, but they wanted to get me at 7. And then 7:30, I get to the studio at 8:00. From 8:00, we met with the producers to discuss what we were going to talk about and approve the images that they wanted to show because we were going to show some images of skin cancer. Kind of walk through the studio, and then the guests start rolling in around like 8:30, 8:45. Everyone starts taking their seats. And Kevin Jonas and the Jonas Brothers were on before I came out, and then I came out right after them. And I met Kelly and Mark just during the commercial break because that was the first time I got to talk to them. So as soon as like the Jonas Brothers leave or whatever segment they had done right before left, I like go there as soon as like there's a commercial break, and I'm like, hi, I'm Dr. Shah, whatever. And they were so nice. Like friendly, interested, asking me questions and showing me even their own skin. And oh, I have this spot. What do you think? Oh, they even had one of their workers who goes tanning all the time. Like they brought her out and were like, hey, like, can you please tell her to protect her skin? Like it was like they were like, this is off camera stuff, like stuff that you don't see on the show, but they were interacting with the audience. And like Kelly was so nice and genuinely like interested in like what I had to say, which was really cool to see. We go on, cameras are rolling, they're asking questions. I didn't know all the questions they were going to ask, and I was just kind of riffing off of them, but I think it went really well for like me, like for somebody who's like really nervous on stage like this. For me, like I was really happy with the outcome. So I think we got a lot of good information in there. What I wanted to do is like get people to really look at their skin, and if they were concerned about their skin, to go into the so I think I hit the points that I wanted to hit, which is like really good for me. And so overall, it was a really cool experience to be able to do that. I never thought in a million years that I would have an opportunity like this. And I will say, this is the one thing that my parents, like my dad was like, hey, this is pretty cool. Like, he's like, this one is pretty big, I think. And I was like, thanks, Dad. So no, it was really cool to do. And I'm really grateful to have been on the show. So hopefully they'll invite me back.
Oh yeah, it was good. I did watch it after y'all sent me the link. And I was like, it's one of those things. I think traditional professionals and a lot of people don't see the value in social media. But then, like you said, when it gets to traditional media, they're like, oh, how important. Like, wow, that's really, really special. And that was definitely a special opportunity. I think you brought a ton of value and again, engaged with a lot of people that we don't normally engage with on social media, now on traditional media. So I think it's super important. I loved it. I thought it was great. So kudos to you. It was well done.
All right, let's hop into the product of the day. What do you got for us?
So this one is the one I shared with you last week, and I also did a sponsored video, caveat, but like I genuinely like it. So it is what it is. It's the Allies of Skin, the copper peptide serum.
I tried it when it was on your desk. It's good.
Yeah, it is good. The thing that sucks though, like just genuinely, it's expensive. Like it's an expensive brand.
I know. Yeah.
And so like we don't do too many of these. Like I don't do too many sponsored expensive skincare. I don't even talk about too many expensive skincare products, even if I really like them, but I really like it. And a lot of their products do. Like every time I get one of their products in my hands, it's kind of like a guilty pleasure. Like I almost like begrudgingly like talk about it. Like, oh, this is so nice. But the formulations are good, ingredients are good, thoughtful. Like, so I do really love the product, do really love the brand. I used it pretty solidly for a couple of weeks here over the last 2 weeks after I closed out my Pores exclusive stint, and it was very nice.
Yeah, no, it's a really nice, elegant product. Very thoughtful ingredients, copper peptides, I think ectoin, some other nice ones that I saw. So, really, really nice, elegant formula. So they have great products, honestly, and probably the only reason why they haven't become a massive success is just the price point is just too high for probably most people. But they do make good products that, you know, if you can stomach the price, I think they're kind of worth the price tag. Let's talk about my product of the day. I'll give you two options. I could talk about both of them. I could live test, which I haven't tried yet, Naturium's new tinted sunscreens. So I could compare the light one and the medium one and tell you which one's better for my skin. I could do that live. Or we could talk about even another interesting product, which is The Ordinary's new lip balm.
Lip balm. I don't know why.
I bought
I don't
this
know
on
when.
TikTok Shop. It's the day that it came out. So they got me, a sucker. But you know what it was for me? The packaging. This thing, look at this packaging. If you're watching on YouTube, this thing is super cool. So look how cool this thing is. So I really got to give it to The Ordinary for this packaging. Was not expecting this. Have not seen a lip balm in this shape. So when you open it up, this is what it looks like. It's got a little applicator tip. Not particularly a great use experience because the way that the edges are rounded, like the kind of like product slips down the crevices, but still I love the form of the packaging. So I put this on my desk for the last week, and I probably used it on every meeting that I've been in for the last week. Like I probably got more use out of this product than I get out of most products. Okay. And overall, no fragrance, no flavor, no ingredients that are going to irritate the skin. My only challenge with this product is that it doesn't last very long. It feels like a lotion on the lips almost, and it almost looks like a lotion to some extent. I wish I could show you in high detail right now on camera, but it almost looks like a lotion. And when you put it on the lips, it like really kind of melts into your lips, and you're like, wow, my lips feel really soft. It's almost like an emollient for the lips. And I think it has that really kind of like heavy squalane base in it. But probably in about 30, 45 minutes, you're going to need to reapply, especially if you have drier lips. So I think overall, like really nice emollient, really nice softening of the lips, but you probably have to follow it with an occlusive. This is something that you would probably like put this on and follow with Vaseline.
You know what's been the ingredient of 2024 very quietly? It's squalane. It has become the staple backbone of most mineral sunscreens. It's become a staple backbone in a lot of balms and a staple backbone of most of your moisturizers. Like very quietly, it is just everywhere. And whoever owns that, if it's still somewhere in the Biossance nebulous universe. No, you're shaking his head. No.
Biossance, before they went bankrupt, they sold their ingredient arm of their business to another manufacturer. So separate business now. But yeah, no, there are other squalane manufacturers. We use some of the Neosant squalane, the Biossance squalane, and some of our Remedy products too. So yeah, no, it's I think it's in all of our Remedy products or most. Can't confirm.
Okay. Yeah, but
it's on our like any moisturizer product has to have squalane in it, but not every product has to have squalane in it. So I can't recall if it's in all the existing products.
Got it.
We have like 8 other products in development right now.
Nice. So excited.
All right, let's go on to the next topic. We're going to be talking about skinflation. So this is going to be a really fun game. You guys can participate at home in your car by yourself or whoever you're with. If you're watching with friends, try to participate with me. So the game is this. Dr. Maxfield is going to read off a product. I'm going to guess what that product costs today. And then I'm going to guess what it cost how many years ago?
It's a little bit variable. So it's anywhere from like 2015 to 2000. We'll take it back all the way to 2020, maybe 20. Yeah, we'll try to get Hugh before 2020.
Okay, so he's going to give me the year, and I'm going to try to guess what the price was, and we're going to just show you how much prices have increased. So, all right, start it off. What product do you have?
Okay, this one is like a staple. Everybody knows it. This is the CeraVe Moisturizing Cream. And if these prices are wrong, they shouldn't be wrong, but this is off of like an Amazon. We're looking at Amazon database here. So it is 2024 CeraVe Moisturizing Cream. It says...
I'm supposed to guess.
Well, yeah, but don't you want to know the price now?
No, I got to guess the price now.
Oh, okay. Okay, guess the price now.
Yeah. So the price now, and you guys can guess at home, I would guess 19.99-ish. I think it's below 20, above 18.
Okay, that's a pretty darn good guess. So the site tells me it is 18. I just went to Amazon and it is 18. So I guess this is an accurate site. The lowest price was only 5 years ago. 5 years ago, it was $11.46.
So what is that, about an 80% increase in price over how long of a period?
That was 2019, so that is 5 years.
5 years, almost double the price. Wow. Okay.
Ouch.
Okay. That's tough. That's tough.
Oh wait, did you guess what the price was in that year?
You might have just told me.
No.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll fix it. I'll do it better. I already messed up the game. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry, anybody. We got this. Next product. So this is a brand we talk about a lot. Olay. This is their Regenerous Night Recovery Cream Face Moisturizer, 1.7 ounces, and just for your delight, it is fragrance free. Current price. Wager a guess.
All right, so I'll tell you this. So I know that the Olay price is like shockingly high, because I was under the impression that Olay was much less expensive, and so I would kind of make these like, well, it's Olay, and so like I'm expecting it to be like lower price than, like, for example, like a Remedy product would be. It's not. So most Olay products are like from $30 to $40. So I think that one is probably around like 30, 32.
So this one in particular is less than that. The high end is about 30. It's about 22 most places you see.
Is this the retinol one or the one without retinol?
Looks to be without retinol.
Okay, the Regenerous. Okay,
which would make
22.
sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, 22, and then we'll walk it back just 3 years. I guess that's the last time they relaunched this. That's how the site works. If it's like a relaunch, then that's as far back as it goes. So 2021, it's $22 now.
I would say 16.
Ooh, that's it. That is solidly it. $15.99, and I never say a 99, so it is absolutely $16. Wow. Dang, prices. Oh wow, this was the Price is Right. You just like took home a car. So
nice. Oh, we're playing the Price is Right now. Like, this is great, actually. I acted like I invented this game. I literally like listed one of the most popular game shows of all time. Like, I'm like, I have this brilliant idea. We're gonna guess the prices of things. All right, so let's go to the next one.
All right, next one. We'll see how. I think this one's kind of wild. So there's a lot of heritage brands here because they have to have been around for a while for this to work. You can't like launch in 2022 and guess the price in 2024. So Neutrogena oil-free facial cleanser with salicylic acid. How much now in 2024?
Which is the product?
Neutrogena oil-free facial cleanser with salicylic acid. 9 ounces.
9 ounces. Neutrogena. I'll put that one at about $16 today.
It is $10 today.
Ooh, okay. So,
not so bad. Not so bad. Still pretty budget friendly. This one walks back 6 years to 2018.
So I personally used this product as a kid. Like, it was my back acne wash in the shower. It's not a particularly good scent. It's the orange one, right? So it's probably like $5.99.
That would make sense. This is telling us it was $2.
No way. That's crazy. How?
I don't know. It says February 5th, 2018, Amazon brand new, $2.12. So that it does look, though, to its credit. This is also in graphical form. There was a long period of time surrounding that nadir. clearly one of my favorite words. It has been around $5 for the majority of its life until 2021, when it started to go up pretty well, relatively significantly. So
So
the
we're
lowest
looking at
2000.
mostly anywhere from like a 60 to 100% increase in pricing, kind of over a 5-year period, which is, I mean, I love when they go inflation's 3% or 5% or 7%. It's like, it's way higher than that. It's just way higher than that. It just doesn't make any sense. So, especially in skincare. So yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy, and you're not getting any more. The products aren't any better, at least not those like particular products, right? Like they've stayed the same for the most part. But I mean, I guess the cost of everything else has gone up, right? So it's like the ingredient suppliers, shipping, packaging. So, I think, it's not just obviously, the brands just getting huge profits. It's also, the many other things that go into the cost of things. But I do know that a lot of brands are still posting record profits despite this, but it's not all going it's not like 100% of the increase of the price is just going to their profitability. It's many other things. So that was a fun game. Maybe we can do that again in the future. That's good. And maybe we do it with like the audience, and like whoever gets the closest wins. We've just invented like the Derm Price is Right.
Yes.
What is Aftersun? So this is coming out of Cult Beauty, and the title of the article is "What is Aftersun and Why Your Skin Will Thank You for It." So, give you a premise. Basically, these are like Aftersun lotion products that exist on the market, and they talk about some of the best ones. But basically, the premise of this is that after you've gone out in the sun and you've been burnt or irritated, then you're going to want to apply these products. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, there's a place for these products because we are imperfect people. Although I actually think the last time I got sunburned, it was like the last time in the last 20 years. I'm not even going to say, because we were both there and everyone there got sunburned. So yes, people get sunburned.
Was it the CeraVe event?
Yeah.
And we all got burnt on the float. We're literally on this float in New Orleans, right? So CeraVe like rented a float in New Orleans to pass sunscreen out to the crowds in New Orleans. So we're on this float, a bunch of derms, and we're passing sunscreen out, and almost like everybody on the float got burnt, which is just very ironic ultimately.
I haven't been burned since I was like 8 years old until that day. So, I mean, it's pretty bad. But anyways, yes, we all get sunburns. Life happens. And what do you do afterwards? That's the $1 million question. Perhaps it's a $20 question, but it's an important question, because once the damage is done, is there anything you can do to reverse it?
Right. So good question. And the answer is no. So you can do things to alleviate the symptoms. I've done like a lot of deep dives on post-sun care ultimately. I looked at all the studies. Is hydration make a huge difference? Does ibuprofen make a huge difference? Does topical steroids make a big difference? Is aloe the cure for this? So I did a lot of deep diving, and it seems as if what happens on a molecular level when you get a sunburn is that you get what we call sunburn cells. And these are ultimately dead cells. Like the sun actually nukes your cells, DNA and cell in general, and just incinerates it. And when the cell is dead, it sloughs off. So you'll peel several days later. But there's nothing once the set, like we're not, what are they called? Necromancers. Is that a phrase?
That's a thing.
We can't bring your cells back to life after they've been killed by the sun. So, you can help with the irritation, you can help with the redness, you can help with the pain to some extent, but you're not going to reverse the damage that's actually been done. So all you can do is just, treat the symptoms. So if you want to get in a cool bath, if you want to use one of these like aloe Aftersun lotions, I think aloe probably has some of the better data here. And aloe moisturizer could help.
Yeah. And that is really it. It's kind of crazy, but it makes some sense. I mean, if you put a chicken in the oven and you cook it and you take it out and you're like, how can I undo this? You just can't, because molecularly the damage is done. The cells are dead, like Dr. Shah said. Now, I actually like aloe tremendously. Every time it comes up, I get a little excited deep down. And I want, but yeah, I love aloe. My favorite product here. So there are a lot of products that are Aftersun care products, but my favorite one is actually from ThinkSport. and Think Sport, Go Think. I never know because they have like a million iterations of the same name. It's not expensive. But the reason I like this one, aloe is fairly high up. I believe it's fragrance free. The only ingredient that might be questionable is menthol, but menthol fairly functionally can help with itch. So I kind of almost give it a pass there. And it's really lightweight. It's like a cool gel cream, gel lotion, unlike some of the thicker ones. So I think it feels aesthetically nice on a sunburn. And I like it's in my fridge now. Like it just lives there. This one is absolutely expired. If you question my habits, like there's a bad one. This product has probably been in my fridge for a year and a half, 2 years. But it's really aesthetically nice. Symptomatically, it gives you relief. And if you believe in aloe, if you believe in nothing else, it's aloe, and then that can help too.
Right, exactly. So, I think, find your pick. There's one from La Roche-Posay on this list from this article that we were looking at. That one doesn't seem to have any ingredients that would particularly help. So I would go with this aloe-based one just because it seems to maybe have some benefits there. And don't get sunburn if you can avoid it. Though Chase, our friend Chase, also from Aspire, was at a local Tennessee fair, handing out skincare products and letting people know that, Dr. Maxfield and Aspire were in town, and he got burnt in the process. So, I think you're right. It's probably unavoidable, but, try to avoid it if you can, because once the damage is done, like we said, you can't reverse it. But that would be a good product. The one here from Sunbum, I think it's got some fragrance in it, but that also would probably work for you for just calming and soothing. And there's really not much else you can do other than to, get through the symptoms and, hope for better days. Let's go on to sunscreens now. So this is an article coming out of Cosmetic Design, and the headline reads, 22% of UK consumers think sunscreen is harmful to their skin. This seems to be a recurring topic, that and tween skincare. But this is new research from La Roche-Posay, where they asked 2,000 UK consumers for their views on sunscreens, and they discussed different myths, and they discussed, which groups were knowledgeable about what. And ultimately, in this quizzing process, 22% actually thought sunscreen was bad for you. Not only not good for you, not only do they not wear it, but they actually actively avoid it. And that is an alarmingly high figure for the UK, I would argue, even though they get maybe less sun than we do.
Yeah, I think it's actually representative as well, though. Just anecdotally here in the US, so many of my conversations, especially outside, I honestly think people in social media are a little bit, I don't know, maybe it's just our community, a little bit more educated on it. And so we don't hear that as much. But when I get out into the real world, when I'm socially hanging out with people, especially people who don't work in medicine, the sunscreen conversations always start with like, oh, what sunscreen is safe? Because I know a lot of them cause cancer. It's every single time. And so I entertain that. I say, oh yeah, oh yeah. I've heard that. Like, how does that happen? Like, why does that work? Like, what do you mean? Because I've heard that too. And they're like, I don't know. It just does. It's like got chemicals in it and they cause cancer. And so it's kind of crazy because not only do you have to convince people to protect their skin, you have to convince them that by doing so, you're not giving yourself cancer. And it's kind of wild. I swear it's every social event, someone in there genuinely, and whatever they genuinely believe it causes cancer directly.
Yeah. So this is very commonly held belief, both on social media and in real life. And I think you hear we've talked about this before. We talked about the study from Valisher that came out about benzene in sunscreens, and they tested a few sunscreens, and particularly spray sunscreens, but other sunscreens as well had trace amounts of benzene as a contaminant during the manufacturing process. They put out this big press release. This is picked up by every major trade publication in the United States, and headlines are basically like sunscreen causes cancer or sunscreen found with cancer causing agent. And like these gigantic headlines, a lot of people don't read the article, or even when they read the article, they're riddled with misinformation. And so people are led to believe the takeaway feeling from this, and it's generating clicks for their videos and views, and it's generating clicks for their websites. And so they always lead with these sort of like fear baiting tactics. The trouble is that then it trickles truly to the consumers who believe that most sunscreens are actually in fact dangerous for them, and they actually avoid them, and then they get sunburns, and then they get skin cancer. And I actually think that the lack of nuance in something like that is really dangerous for people. Like, for example, this other article that we found during our search for this article that we're talking about is this one posted on July 11th. And this is from dailydot.com. I'm not familiar with this article, but it looks like they cover a bunch of different trending topics. And this is the headline of this article. So this is the headline of this Daily Dot article around the same time this was published yesterday. They found benzene in it. Customer says Neutrogena sunscreen gave her leukemia. Quote, I'm like 100% positive that a sunscreen I was using gave me blood cancer. So you read that headline, you read that article as a consumer, and you think, hey, I'm just going to avoid all sunscreens indiscriminately based on my genuine concern that it could be harmful to me, which I think is a genuine concern for a lot of people. It's not like the people are trying to trick you or they're trying to, spread misinformation. They're getting misinformation and then they spread that misinformation unintentionally ultimately. And so I don't know who this creator is who made this video about, benzene in their sunscreen causing leukemia, but we'll pray for her. Hopefully she turns out okay. Leukemia is a type of blood cancer, and don't wish that on anybody. And it's something that we don't know what always causes it. It starts in the bone marrow, and it then goes from there. Your blood is created in your bone marrow and then is distributed throughout your body. And so there are many things from genetics to environmental exposures and beyond that can cause leukemia, but a lot of times we don't know exactly what's causing it. And I know for a fact that benzene in sunscreens has never been linked to leukemia, or sunscreens in general have never been linked to leukemia. So, it's like you have benzene, which we know is a carcinogen. You have leukemia, which we know is a cancer. And you have somebody who has leukemia who also used a sunscreen that had trace amounts of benzene in it. And it's one of those things where it's, they're correlated. She's experiencing this, but they're not necessarily causative. So there's no way to show that it caused one or the other. That's not saying that it didn't. It's just saying that there's no evidence at this time that it isn't. And I do think that information like this should be taken seriously from like the CDC, and they should study, leukemia, and they should study whether or not people with leukemia have been exposed to sunscreens that have benzene or have other exposures to benzene, because that's a responsible thing for health departments to do. But right now, I think the information is inconclusive.
Well, that's the toughest thing. Like you said, it's the simplicity in the messaging and the headlines. It's enough to create a causal relationship for people who are just getting a bird's eye view on the topic. And even if someone wants to look deeper. So for example, again, I was with some people and they were like, hey, what's a safe sunscreen? I was like, well, safe. You want, what are your concerns? Oh, no chemicals. All right. So like no chemicals at all? No. I mean, just like not the chemical filters. All right. Well, one I really like is the Baby Bum Mineral Sunscreen Lotion. And they're like, oh yeah, well, let me look. And they open up the EWG and it's a 6. And they're like, nah, it's not safe. And I'm reading the ingredient list and I'm like, what about this warrants a not safe rating? And so it's like, let's just look into it together because, I get passionate about these things. So we pull it up and they're the only ingredient, it's all green. Like all the scores are 1s and 2s. Like it's all super good, looks great. And then there's one ingredient, butylloctyl salicylate, which you've brought up in another video. And the main concern about this, it got a score of 3, by the way. That ingredient got a score of 3. And it says the concern is it contains contamination concerns salicylic acid. Okay. But let me just tell you, this whole product, here's the scores. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. So 1's a good thing. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Total score 6. What? So, I mean, from my perspective as a dermatologist, I'm like, this product looks very good. It looks very safe. If you just don't want chemicals, it's relatively pure, relatively clean, no fragrance, like whatever, it looks good. And then even for someone who's willing to put in a little extra effort and dive deeper, like it's tough because even like widely trusted resources may not be just like the best or completely accurate. So it is a difficult world out there for the consumer when there's like a really not a consolidated, simple place to go. And I know the EWG has some positives, some negatives, and they try pretty hard. But that one didn't make any sense to me.
I just want to know why. Okay, so Biossance is considered to be a quote unquote clean brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
and it's supposed to and doesn't use, and their sunscreen is pure zinc, right? They don't use chemical filters, right? So chemical free, right? How come? And I genuinely like wonder about this. Like, why are certain chemicals worse than other chemicals? Like this one has hectorite, polyhydroxy polydihydroxysteric acid, 1,2-hexane-diol. It's like, why is that not concerning to somebody who doesn't want chemicals? Why indiscriminately choose a chemical over another one, right? When there's no evidence that one is particularly more harmful than the other. It is sort of an interesting phenomenon, but it's not limited to people who just consume information online. It's not limited to people who are more prone to conspiracy theories, misinformation, and like the fallacy of natural being safer. There are a lot of people in my life that are doctors, colleagues outside of dermatology, who we have conversations about sunscreen all the time, and will tell me I don't use chemical sunscreens because of the cancer risk, or I would rather use an ingredient that is natural. I would rather use products that are natural or paraben free. Like, these are physicians who are able to critically look at literature. They haven't looked at the literature, but they can critically look at literature, and they still fall into this. So it's not like it's because I truly believe that most people just want to do what they think is safe for them, their families, their kids, their unborn children when they're pregnant. And so they kind of err on this side of caution, and they think, well, even if there is a small risk, that small risk is not worth it. And so that's why these fear-mongering tactics are so worth it, because they don't just work on a very select group of people. They work on a much larger audience. And so even probably our audience, who's very, very educated on skincare, they're not people who are just reading headlines or watching a short reel on things. They're really dedicated to skincare. I believe that probably a lot of people in our audience will kind of err on that side of caution, which I don't think is an unreasonable concern, an unreasonable thing to do. It's just an interesting phenomenon psychologically that so many people fall into this essential fear trap.
Yeah, no, it is. But you're right. And I think part of it, again, not everybody has the bandwidth to dive deeply into every topic. And so for something that they're not particularly passionate about, they're like, if it's safer, I'll just pick the other thing. And it kind of just ends there.
I'll give you an example because I fall for it myself. So I'm not above this, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not above this. So this is why I'm bringing it up. So I read one study about hair loss and sunscreen being correlated. Sunscreen use and hair loss on your hairline being correlated. And never again did I put my sunscreen near my hairline. I wore headbands in all my videos. I read one study that it could possibly lead to frontal hair loss. Low quality study, and the conclusion was inconclusive. And I said, even if there's a small risk that this is going to recede my hairline, I'm not putting it anywhere close to my hairline. So I will say that I'm not immune to this by any means. It's just such an interesting human phenomenon that even a small amount of data where you could be harmed, right? Because there's this, what's the thing is that, if you told somebody like that they would make $1 million if they had a 99% chance of like winning $1 million if they did this thing, and then they had like a 1% chance of losing like $10,000, that they would like choose not losing the $10,000. Like, people always are like want to protect what they have rather than like take a risk on something new. So I think like ultimately like human behavior like errs on the side of like protectiveness rather than like risk taking.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Yeah, we're all a little guilty of it, but we probably will keep learning and know a little better in the future.
So the last topic we want to talk about is beauty brands and the store brands. So this is coming out of Happy Magazine. They do a lot of industry articles, so articles on things that are going on in the skincare industry. And this one is Beauty Leads Growth as Store Brands Continue to Soar in 2024. So basically it's data showing that store brand beauty brands are outperforming a lot of the traditional like big box brands. So like, for example, CeraVe would be considered like a national brand. And then like the CVS version of the CeraVe cleanser would be considered the store brand. And those products are starting to do very, very well.
I think it's interesting because, I mean, so they're set up for success, right? I mean, because you have like the CeraVe brand name right there on the shelf, and then right next to it, like it's the CeraVe retinol resurfacing serum, right? And then right next to it, you have like the CVS retinol resurfacing lotion or resurfacing lotion. It's like very, very similar. And so just with a little bit lower cost. And you know, if it's $1 off and it looks like the same thing, you turn around the bottle, the back looks very similar. I think it's a very reasonable purchase. So now I don't really have a big problem with this, to be honest. Like as long as the generic products have a thoughtful formulation and it actually exists, I'm actually okay with saving $1. My big question and my skepticism revolving around this, though, is when a brand brings their product out, oftentimes, especially their more reputable brands, they do a lot of studies to prove that the ingredients are what they say they are, that they work. And I don't think, and I don't know, but I'm not 100% sure that the generic brands also follow suit with the same quality of data behind their products. I kind of feel like a lot of times it's just copy paste the formula, assume the stability and the clinical results would be the same, and then they bring it forward.
So yeah, so I think it's actually pretty diabolical, the marketing scheme here. So basically what they do is, if you think about it, the stores have a lot of data. So say, for example, you're CVS, right? And you have all the data, internal store data on which products are selling the best in the store. So you know which cleansers sell the best, you know what treatments sell the best, you know what moisturizers sell the best. And you can basically say, hey, I'm only going to manufacture the products that are selling the best in the store. And I'm going to take a product, I'm going to name it exactly the same thing. I'm going to put it right next to the product that's selling really well and mark that product like, 50% or 45 or 30% cheaper, and realize like we're just going to basically ride the wave of this particular brand that's doing really well. And I'm putting in a less expensive product right next door. Like this would be the equivalent of, I don't even know what this would be the equivalent of. This would be the equivalent of like opening a dermatology office and then having somebody else open up a dermatology office right next to you and charge like half the price. And like it would be considered under most circumstances to be like anti-competitive practice. But it's interesting that, I think the bigger the store, the larger brands are so open to this. Now, I think one of the problems is this, right? So like, say for example, I'm going to kind of give you context here on why it doesn't even mean that the product is like the product could cost the same to make. And so the thing is that the store is taking 50% of most revenue from brands. So if a product is $20, this is how and it depends on the store. So some stores take only 40%, some stores take up to 60% of the MSRP. So if you pay $20 for a product at CVS, then $10 of that goes to CVS, right? And then $10 of that goes to the brand, right? And if you're CVS and you're selling CVS branded products in CVS, then you don't have to pay the store their 50%. And so you can cut 50% off the cost right there. So they're not even like, so they're almost like undermining the brands, like, and they're like cutting out this like distribution fee that they would normally have to pay. And so they can cut the price. So in fact, those brands are more profitable. So they're more profitable because a lot of times they're not even giving you a 50% discount. That's usually more like a 30% discount. So they're actually 20% more profitable in the store for CVS to sell the product than it is for like CeraVe to sell the same product. So it is kind of like a fascinating business model, but they're on the rise. And I think it's because people want to save money. And that's that's super reasonable. Now, I agree with you. I don't think they go through the same testing. They're not as widely distributed, so they don't have as much consumer feedback. And, just because the ingredient lists are very similar doesn't mean they're exactly the same. I've shown like in a video in the past where the store brand had methyl isochlorothiazolone, which is a very common allergen as their preservative system. versus I think CeraVe, which had a different preservative system in it that's a safer preservative system. So those minor nuances make a difference. Also, the pH of the formula, those make a difference. How they're actually mixed together in the lab make a difference. The temperature that they're cooked at in the lab, these things all make a difference. So there's going to be minor differences between the products, even if they perform very similarly. I do think it's reasonable to try to save money where you can. And so I don't, obviously blame the consumers there, but it's an interesting tactic and they seem to be on the rise. And I think it's because inflation and everyone's trying to save money.
Yeah, that's a very practical one. I mean, as you're talking, I look over and I'm realizing, I have the CVS Double Renewal Moisturizer right next to my La Roche-Posay Double Repair Face Moisturizer on the shelf. So yeah, it is kind of diabolical to hear it all spelled out. And it's kind of crazy, but it is what it is. And, again, I don't have a strong stance on it because I get it. If you need to save a buck, I understand where you're coming from. So no hate here, but it is diabolical.
Would be curious from the audience, how many of you buy store branded products? Like, are you buying Oreos or are you buying like the stuffed rings from Walmart? And the second question is there only like certain products that you'll buy from the store brand and then others you're going to splurge on the authentic version of that product? It is just a curious question. Certain things I will buy, like store brand stuff, like paper towels, napkins, spoons, cutlery, cups, even some foods, certain foods. And it depends on the store brand. Like, is it Whole Foods or is it Trader Joe's? Trader Joe's, essentially the whole store is a store brand. So, yeah. I love Trader Joe's. So like, I guess it really depends. But I'm just curious, what people's thoughts are on store brands and whether or not they always go to the real version or they err on the side of the store version for the value.
Yeah, no, we'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm interested too. I think in my mind, if in my mind it's like a quality item, I probably would go store brand. Like if I'm looking at a retinol, I'm probably going to go brand name. Or if in my mind it's already kind of like a budget item, like toilet paper, I'm probably going to go generic.
I think a lot of people are going to argue with you on the toilet paper one.
Oh, yeah?
Because people are very particular about their toilet paper, including me, because nothing is worse than when your finger goes through the toilet paper. And nothing is worse than the rough texture of a toilet paper. So these are all... I think I said paper towels so that I wouldn't say toilet paper. I just wanted to be clear for everybody that was an intentional move. So anyway, Eddie, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you back next week, same time. Thank you all so much for your trust and support. And we'll see you all in the next episode.
All right, I'll see you next time.